All right, guys, so the first thing I did was I removed the negative terminal from the battery and then decided to take the steering wheel off, as well as the top of the clamshell. From what I read, it's advised that you take it off because if you pull the tachometer out, you run the risk of cracking the bucket by pulling it out at a specific angle. So I decided to just take it off and not take my chances. So for the sake of the video, I decided not to put a towel on the dash to protect everything, just so you could see. And then for the pry tool, I got this from the install bay. Use this in conjunction with a business card. That way I wouldn't dent the dash. I put in between the rubber gasket and the business card and just pretty much inched around the perimeter until I broke it loose. As soon as there was a big enough gap between the gauge and the dash, used my fingers to just wiggle the gauge and then pull it straight out. Came out pretty easy. For no particular reason, I decided to start with the fuel gauge. From what I read, most people start with the clock, but this seemed to work out just fine. One thing I wanted to do to make sure I reinstall it correctly was I labeled each corresponding side of the plug to make sure it's easy to put back in. Next up was the oil pressure gauge, much more simple than the fuel gauge. Again, same process, except this time I was able to get my hand behind the gauge and push it directly out. So that came out relatively easy, and then I just moved on to the tack. For the tack, I decided not to use a pry tool. Rather, I just decided to push the gauge directly out from behind. Again, being mindful about the bucket because I didn't want to crack it, because I heard it was pretty susceptible to cracking. Then again, just labeled all my plugs and then did the rest just like I did the tack. So fairly simple process. Hope that helps. So here are some of my gauges. As you can see, they've been delaminated from high sun exposure, common in cabs and Targas. I'm definitely going to reface these soon. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.